All right, just a couple of minutes ago, I mentioned all the losers in Pittsburgh tonight. Pitt, Penns, Duquesne, Robert Moore, Sal Fanica. But there are a couple winners. One in particular in Pittsburgh, Aaron Donald, the Penn Hills native, former Pitt star, won Defensive Player of the Year in the NFL. And actually, it was a clean sweep for the Rams. They won Offensive Player of the Year. Todd Gurley gets that, and Sean McVay wins Head Coach of the Year. So the Rams won just about every big award, but not the most important things they did not win, and that's winning in the playoffs. They did not get to the Super Bowl like the Steelers. And how about Le'Veon Bell today on CBS Radio talking about how Guy questioned how some of his teammates not playing, maybe not getting into the game, not being up for the game against Jacksonville. This is coming from a guy that, depending on who you believe, is it him or some of the reports that he was late to a walkthrough on Saturday, missed most of it, then was late to the game. I know he addressed that at the Pro Bowl, also talked a little bit about it at the Super Bowl, saying that it was inexcused and he had some personal things to attend to. But I still think, is that a good enough excuse? I understand if it's, a family member is sick, dead, or something like that, maybe, but it's just, I guess it depends on the personal issues that, he could be late to a walkthrough, but this is the most important game of the season for the Steelers right now. And, he brought up the fact that maybe they needed to play the week before and they needed to be the 3 seed instead of the 2 seed because of the bye week. But I don't think those are any excuses. If you can't get up for this game, there's got to be something wrong. And you could clearly see, and he even pointed out, that guys weren't into it. Then all of a sudden they're down 21-0 and they have to wake up and it's too late. And, I lump everyone into that. Not just, I can't point out, hey, Le'Veon Bell was playing, but Mike Mitchell wasn't, or Antonio Brown was playing, but Joe Hayden wasn't. You can't say, just no one seemed really up for that. The Steelers, I think, went into that game. They thought they were going to win it. They thought they were going to roll over Jacksonville just like they thought they were going to the first time around. And I think the Steelers were clearly the better team. I think the Steelers might have been the best team in the NFL when it came to offensive and defensive talent, and you saw that in the Pro Bowl because they had 9 guys playing in the Pro Bowl, more than any other team, and you saw that offense consisted of mostly of Steelers. If you watch the Pro Bowl, and I don't know if too many people watch the Pro Bowl, but if you watch that first series, it was all Steelers. And it's a shame that they couldn't get to at least to the AFC Championship, because it would have been fun to see them play New England. All right, let's go out to phones. And we got Dan out in Hampton. How you doing, Dan?
Hey, Rich.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, good to talk to you. Hey, if we lose Le'Veon Bell, like you just said, 9 Pro Bowls on offense, so we have 8. So what's the big deal? We lose Le'Veon, and we pick somebody else up. What do you think?
Dan, I'm in your camp. I think it's not really imperative to bring Le'Veon Bell back. I would try to trade him if you can. I don't know what the rule is with franchising and trading. There's got to be something where you can maybe sign him and trade him. You could just let him walk and not franchise him, and you pick up a compensatory pick, like a 3rd-round pick, and you draft someone. I think, I don't want to say running backs are a dime a dozen, but you could find a few Le'Veon Bells out there, maybe not draft him this year, and you go with a couple different guys like New England does. They do 3 different running backs, and Le'Veon Bell does, all 3 things very well, but maybe you get a couple guys that can make up for Le'Veon Bell.
Well, yeah, I totally agree. New England has not had a Hall of Fame running back. But at the same time, what do you do to replace him?
Well, you got James Conner coming back. I don't think he can replace Le'Veon Bell. Maybe you draft one if you can somehow make some kind of deal and you can get a pick high. Maybe you draft a running back in the 1st round. I wouldn't count that out if someone's there. There's a few running backs. You got Le'Veon Bell in the 2nd round. Maybe you draft another running back in the 2nd round. Maybe you sign a guy like Dion Lewis, who's a free agent. I think you can get by with not having Le'Veon Bell. I really do. They're not going to be better, but I don't think they're going to be that worse off. They need help on defense. And I think if you're not, I don't know if I would pay $14 million for Le'Veon Bell. And he already said that he won't take $60 million, and that was their last deal. So I don't know if he fits into the Steelers' budget. They might franchise him this year, make him play, and just let him walk next year. That's kind of how I see it playing out.
I totally agree. Good job, Rich.
Thanks, buddy. See ya.
Bye.
All right, let's go out and Bob in Clearfield. How you doing, Bob?
Hi, Rich. Okay, in response to your questions, I've got it 19-13 New England in the Super Bowl in a field possession, time of possession, field goal controlled game. But at the same time, if you're an NBC executive, you got to be sweating bullets. You have two East Coast teams, and if it turns out it's like 24-3 New England at halftime, you said they're going to have a real challenge with the TV ratings for the second half of the game. But I have one other question for you. Do you think that the 3-4 defense may have finally outlived its usefulness as an effective defense, as we saw in the Jacksonville game? The Steelers front three there, they were treated it's like they weren't even there at practice. They were just almost driven completely off the field. So the question is, what do you think about the 3-4 defense in terms of its future application? Thanks much.
Yeah, hey, that's a great question, Bob. I appreciate the call from Clearfield. And I'm going to answer your first question, not first question first, but I'm going to talk about the first thing you said with the Steelers. I think NBC is happy with this matchup. You got the fourth largest television markets and another top 10 in Boston. So you got Boston and Philadelphia, the most attractive Super Bowl matchup with the Final Four. So I think that they're happy with that matchup for sure. And I don't see this game being a blowout. You saw what happened last year. No one tuned out. And I think it made it more exciting that New England came back from such a deficit. Plus, people tune in to watch the Super Bowl commercials, so I don't think people will be tuning out. And they got bets, prop bets, second-half bets, or whatever. So I don't think NBC's too worried about the ratings. I do think this is going to be much closer, and I like the over. I like a 27-24 New England win, which would mean that the Eagles would cover at that +4.5 or +5, whatever you're getting right now. That's what I kind of like. I think it's going to play out to where this is going to be a close game, and either New England's going to, win it at the end, or maybe the Eagles score a late touchdown, and it's going to be, I think, a 3-4 point game. That's kind of how I see it. As for the 3-4 defense, it's worked for the Steelers. It didn't work against New England sometimes because they kind of pick apart the whole zone. Yeah, but when you talk to the Steelers about the 3-4 versus the 4-3, and they'll break it down that they play a lot of 4-3 sometimes. And sometimes you have one of those linebackers when James Harrison came in, or, T.J. Waddle played down. I think you put your best 11 guys out in the field and you go play football, and whatever scheme it is, you develop a defense that's going to beat that opponent, whether you're playing mostly 4-3 that week or mostly 3-4. But I think the Steelers are set up well with their defense right now. If Ryan Shazier can't play, then you got to address that position. You got to get a playmaker in the middle of the field, and I think that's what they really missed there down the stretch. So I think that they're going to address inside linebacker high in the draft or free agency somehow if you're expecting Ryan Shazier not to play next year. All right, thanks for your call, Bob. We're going to take a break. Back with more of your phone calls, some of your tweets coming up next. Stay right there.